Welcome to the Thyroid Fixer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Amy, and we're diving deep into the world of hormones, especially for all you fierce women in perimenopause and menopause, and anyone dealing with hypothyroidism. If you're struggling with weight gain, you feel like shedding those pounds is an impossible feat. If you're dealing with plummeting energy levels, gut-wrenching fatigue, or a libido that seems to have left town, then you're in the right place. And don't even get me started on the hair loss. If these symptoms are sounding all too familiar, you found your tribe. Welcome, because my goal is to educate, empower, and shake up your world. I want you to embrace every inch of that badass woman that you truly are. So if you're ready to dive in and fix things, let's get started. I hear your questions about what are the benefits of red light therapy with the thyroid. Well, when you go down that rabbit hole of studies, there are multiple benefits how shining red light on your neck can absolutely help to produce more thyroid hormone and heal the thyroid, but it does so much more. But here's the thing, that red light, you don't want to just go out and buy any red light panel. There are different wavelengths that you need to look for. You want it combined with UVB because UVB light has a whole host of potential benefits of its own. So number one, UVB triggers testosterone production and libido by triggering the P53 protein. Amazing. Sunlight. We know how important sunlight is to resetting our circadian rhythm, to even helping us lose weight and with our sleep and our blood sugar balance. UVB light does that. So when you get that dose of UVB in the morning, that's going to help stimulate that testosterone, reset your circadian rhythm, up-level your vitamin D, amazing things. Here's all the other things that it can do. It helps with your microbiome health and diversity. It helps reduce cancer risk, including thyroid cancer, reduces your COVID risk. It prevents weight gain. Like we said, your testosterone, your sleep, it helps with MS. There's a study on that. I would love to put all these studies in, but I don't want to bombard you. Reduction in psoriasis and vitiligo, reduce depression, better mood, throw out the antidepressants. Let's just get some sun, UVB and red light. Oh my God. Cognitive function and memory. And of course, your skin, stimulating that collagen production to reduce wrinkles and just improve the overall quality of your skin, reduction of acne, healing of scars. Just really doesn't get any better than this. And this light that I've been using, which is by Mitolux, is just so compact. I set it right on my desk so I can literally use it every day. I have it on right now as I'm recording this. I shine it on my face and on my neck every single day. I hit my décolleté as well because I want to prevent sun damage. I want to reduce all those brown spots of aging and promote collagen because I don't want a wrinkly chest either. Who wants that? So if you want to check out this bad boy, this is amazing. If you're going to invest in a red light, you want Mitolux. You want to go to mitolux.com/Dr. Amy. So mitolux.com/DRAMIE. That will automatically generate you a 10% off discount off of a Mitolux device. You will love it. Like I said, one that you're going to invest in. This is it. I promise you, this is it. Are you trying to lose weight? I mean, most of us are, but when you cut calories or you use those new Beverly Hills soccer mom drug of choice for weight loss injectables, you're not going to get in enough protein. And that's the problem. That's where you start losing muscle and fat at the same time. You don't want to lose your sexy lean muscle. So Kion Aminos helps prevent muscle loss. Kion Aminos can help you feel full when you're cutting calories, which that's a bonus. And it's going to help you build that lean muscle for a faster metabolism, a lean, toned, sexy body. So add in Kion Aminos. I do it every single day. I drink them during my workout, and then I'll also drink them throughout the day because that's supporting my muscles, keeping my muscles as I'm just sitting at my desk working. Add in Kion Aminos, try them out. I love the berry. I love the mango, but you're going to love all the flavors. Toss it in your water, shake it up, drink it throughout the day. And then, like I said, definitely during a workout. So you are going to use my link to save 20% off. So that's a no-brainer for you to try these out. You're going to go to getkion.com. That's GETKION.com/thyroid. And that is going to give you 20% off your first order. Let me know what you think. Guti, I have been waiting for this for a long time because number one, I've been using the Mitolux lamp or device for a while now and noticing huge improvements with my skin. Number two, I have not yet done a podcast on the benefits of red light. And we're going to kind of talk even beyond that today. And I think it's really important because I get this question all the time from my community. How does red light affect our hormones? How does it actually affect our skin? How does it actually affect our thyroid? And I got to tell you, I don't even know when red light therapy came out, but let's just rewind like 3-4 years ago. I started looking up studies on red light and how it affects our cells and how it affects our body, and really just light in general, even the sunlight, red light. And I was actually trying to debunk it because I thought, how's light? Come on. How is light really going to affect us? And I got to tell you, I couldn't find anything negative. I have found nothing but positive studies on this. So I'm so excited to be talking about this today because my community needs to know this information.
Yes, totally. Yes, as you were saying, for example, I'm a photographer. I've been doing photography for the last 20 years. So, and also I have a very big online school for photography with 79,000 students. So number one photography school in Spanish. And when I started hearing about red light, I was like, I don't believe that can do that much. But I tried and I bought a book and I also bought one lamp in Amazon and I put it to my dog since she has arthritis. And to my surprise, the dog started running again within 2 weeks. So I was like, there's no placebo effect there. So that definitely must be true. And also I started using it for my skin and I'm 47 and it truly works.
It does. It does. That's the biggest thing that I noticed is that my skin is improving. Now I take care of my skin, obviously, but age is age. I mean, every single day we have cellular damage and we have age just deterioration. I mean, the thing that we can count on is what? Age and gravity. So to notice the improvements in my skin, I really feel like it's glowing more. If you guys are on YouTube, it really is like I'm seeing a glow. I'm seeing a glow in my skin these days. So, okay, you mentioned you started as a photographer.
Yes.
How did you get into going down this rabbit hole of light? I mean, I guess it does pair up, right? But light for our health versus light for the environment that you're shooting.
Yes. For example, in my case, I started studying photography in early 2000 and I started working as a professional photographer in 2006. But even me back then, I was one of the people that tried to avoid the sun and put some hats and a lot of sunblock because that's what I've been educated like. So I was very, very white. I was even pale. But suddenly, in 2020, during the pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic, I got a big divorce. So that was very bad for my health. And I had to go to the psychiatrist and get antidepressants, and they really worked. And also I had my testosterone dive very low. So I got a testosterone replacement therapy, the pellets that once they put on your buttocks. And it worked amazing. Within a week, I was like rejuvenated because my levels were at 280 in the low point. And with the pellets, yes, that was very bad because of all the stress when you don't sleep well and you don't go outside. So my my testosterone was at 280, and within 2 weeks, it was already 550, and then it incremental. So I was getting amazing because of antidepressants and testosterone replacement. Also, my vitamin D was very low. It was in, I believe, like 30, and then I got it to the 60s. So that helped me a lot. But the thing is that I'm not used to the idea of always having to be on medications. So the psychiatrist told me, like, it's possible you'll have to use this the rest of your life, and also the endocrinologist regarding the pellets. But I started doing research, and I got to read some books that were telling if you take the sun, that will help for your depression. If you take sun, that will help your vitamin D, that will help your testosterone. So I started giving it a try. And I live in El Salvador, so my sun situation, it's amazing. We're in parallel 13, so I can take the sun most of the days of my life. And since I work home office, I started taking sunbaths. And from day number one, I felt that energy boost and I felt very happy. That's because UVB in sunlight helps with your serotonin and with your dopamine. So I really love it. And I started doing sun therapy, just normal sunbaths. And my testosterone increased. And basically, to summarize, after 4 months of doing this, I had improved so much in my mood parameters that the psychiatrist started lowering and suddenly took me out of the antidepressant. And also, I decided to get out of the pellets. At the beginning, it was a little drop, but then I got just by sleeping well, eating well, exercising, and taking the sun, I took my levels to 650 without the pellets. So I was, yes.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's a huge jump.
Yes, because it lowered at the beginning to 450, but sleeping well, stress management, taking the sun and everything, I got it back to 650. I even had it at the beginning of this year to 750 naturally. So I was very, very happy with the results. And suddenly, always, not always, but once in a while, we had bad weather in my country and it rains. So I tried to buy a lamp that combined red light therapy. That's one of the great sides of natural sunlight, the red and the infrared, and also that had the UVB. But since I didn't find anyone that was making this lamp that could help to give you sunbaths, that's when I decided to start developing my own lamp. So that's basically my story.
So if nobody can do it right, you just got to do it yourself, is the bottom line there.
Yes, I saw a big opportunity because red light is amazing, but it's not practical to have, for example, a sturdy sun lamp or a tanning sun lamp next to an infrared. So why not combine them into a nicer looking device?
Right. And nobody wants huge panels. I mean, it's just, it's impractical. And that's what I even found when I was starting to incorporate red light based on my research. I couldn't find anything negative. And there are so many large panels that it gets kind of cumbersome. So I'll have one in my bathroom, but then I realize I don't use it because I'm only in my bathroom to shower, get ready, and then I'm gone. So having something at your desk and having something portable, I think, is very important, at least for me.
Yes.
So before we get into devices and all of that, I want you to break down those wavelengths. So we hear about it, but I really want to understand. I want my audience to understand what is red, infrared, and then you said UVB. So what are the differences of those and where do we find each of them?
Okay. Basically, in the light is in the electromagnetic spectrum. And for example, when you start getting to the red, the waves start getting bigger, so they have less energy. And the story behind red light therapy, it's very interesting. Basically, we evolved to take advantage as a solar panel from all these different wavelengths, but we didn't know all of these benefits until recently. For example, the first known benefit of taking sunlight in modern times was vitamin D. And we thought that that was all. But NASA during the 1990s was making a program to grow plants in space. So they started using red and infrared light because it's more efficient for the plants, for the growth. And they found out that people were getting better skin and their wounds were healing faster. So they said like, this is strange. So they started making studies and they actually found out that red and infrared light help the skin. And that's when the story began, basically, in the 1990s. Now there are more than 5,000 studies regarding the benefits of red light and infrared. Basically, red light and infrared light work similarly, but infrared goes a little bit deeper in your skin. But they work through similar pathways, and the most known pathway, basically, it's helping your mitochondria produce more energy. So when you're very young, your mitochondria are working very efficiently, and there's a photoreceptor called cytochrome C oxidase that basically uses the red and the infrared to put more energy to ATP production. So if you have more energy in your cells, you produce more collagen, and that's when all the beautiful things start happening.
Okay. So we get red, infrared, UVA, and UVB from the sun, or some of that combined. Did I just cross some of them over? Is UVA really red, or can you break that down?
Okay, I'll explain. So for example, when you go in the morning to take sunshine, most of the light, if you see, it's a very orange color. So in the early morning or late evening, closer to sunset, it's mostly infrared. And for example, if you go have a walk early in the morning with as little clothing as you want, that's your natural and free red light therapy device. Because so sometimes people are putting sunscreen early in the morning, and at that time there's no UVA or UVB. It's just infrared. So what I advise people is to go have a walk early in the morning, and that would be your anti-aging red light therapy. So nature gives us with that. And when the sun starts getting up in the middle of the day, suddenly we start getting some UVA. And when the sun is basically on top, that's when we start getting UVB. But UVB, it's on the other end of the spectrum. So we have visible light, we have infrared, and then after purple, we have the ultraviolet A and the ultraviolet B that also have a lot of benefits for health.
Okay, so we've always been told to wear sunscreen in the middle of the day when the sun is at its highest point, because that's really where the burns and the wrinkles and the skin damage occurs. So during that middle of the day, when we're dosing our UVB, should we be wearing sunscreen, or should we not wear sunscreen, but just limit the amount of time that we're out?
Well, basically, as a norm, whenever you can, it's better to limit the amount of time you're outside at noon, because obviously you can burn if you overdo it. You have to start going gradually. And for example, one of the best methods to prevent sunburn is just wearing clothing or wearing a hat. So for example, myself, what I try to do when I'm outside, for the first 15 minutes, I don't wear any sunscreen. I want the sun to go to my skin. Those 15 minutes are for my skin type. Some people would probably be 5 minutes if you haven't had any sunshine, or maybe somebody that is an African American, they go for 30, 40 minutes without any problem. And then I put my hat, or when I'm not going to be doing that, I put mineral sunscreen. So it's always good to get some natural light. And when you're not going to have that, put some hat or clothing, or use mineral sunscreen.
Okay. So we want to get some of the UVB. We don't want to completely block ourselves from UVB. We want some of that, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, for example, it's very interesting because when I developed this lamp a little over a year ago, for me, the benefits of UVB back then were vitamin D, and it helped, and also testosterone, and a little bit about serotonin. But now that I've studied a lot, UVB, it's a lot bigger, all of the benefits that it gives you. So I didn't expect UVB to have all that benefits, but anyone can find online if you put UVB benefits, and you'll be amazed on everything from skin disorders to depression to gut microbiome. So it's amazing.
So it's not just the red light that is giving the benefits, like red light therapy, red light boxes, all of that. It's you need that UVB component to really take it to the next level, like you saw with your testosterone raising to the 600.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I want to take the big problem areas or topics that my audience has. And I want to break that down, whether that is UVB or red, infrared, or a combination of all. So you had mentioned vitamin D, and that is a big one. You already said UVB, but I'll let you expand on it. I want to say a decent handful of people, and I know that there is a genetic SNP out there as well in our genetics that prevents people from actually absorbing a vitamin D supplement or even absorbing it from the sun. So if they can use something like a UVB lamp, I'm kind of processing as I'm talking to you. I'm thinking, okay, that might be the answer for these people that cannot get their vitamin D levels up.
Okay. Yes, there are many things. The first recommendation I would give anybody is to get a vitamin D test, because if you cannot measure it, you really have no idea. And for example, I've seen people that believe that they're doing great because they take sometimes the sun or go out, but they're covered in sunscreen, and then suddenly they're 18.
Yeah, they have
when they
vitamin D's and
should
18. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, where when usually people recommend that you have at least 40, but for all the studies I've seen, the optimal numbers are between 60 and 100. I
Yep.
usually have it between 70, 80, 90, and move it around.
Yep.
So step number one is to have your blood measured so you really have an idea of how you're doing. Regarding UVB, yes, it's actually UVB, the part of the solar spectrum that's making your body produce vitamin D. Basically, there's a form of cholesterol that when you get the sun exposure, that turns into pre-vitamin D. Then that pre-vitamin D goes to the liver and it changes a little bit. And then when it goes to your, I forgot that name in English. When you goes to your bladder, then it turns to the active form of vitamin D. And vitamin D is the most important vitamin because it's not actually a vitamin, but a hormone that was included.
Liver, not bladder. Liver. I got it.
No, first the liver,
Yeah.
and then in Spanish is riñones, but I forgot the name in English, that the last part. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So it has to get converted. You're right, in the
uh,
liver to
yeah,
actually be a usable form.
it's a multi-step process until you get the active form of vitamin D. So vitamin D, it basically triggers 3% of the human genome, and it's responsible in many, many different pathways. And one interesting thing, when they said that you should have at least 30 nanograms per milliliter of vitamin D, is when the scientists understood that vitamin D was only working for calcium absorption. So for calcium absorption, it's okay from the 30 nanograms per milliliter, but for all the other different benefits, anti-aging benefits, microbiome benefits, metabolism, depression, and so on, it's when you need to have it at least above 60.
Right. And so, but yeah, all those conditions that you just mentioned, from weight to depression, they're tied back to vitamin D status.
Yes.
Now we can actually go over here and talk about depression and anxiety, because that's what you went through during a very, very stressful time. You were given the antidepressants, which, yeah, like you said, they work, but I usually call those the Band-Aid medications. You know, there's a handful of people that actually need them because of some kind of brain chemistry imbalance.
Yes.
I would say the majority of people, 90%, it's a Band-Aid for something else that they're missing, whether it's thyroid or hormone, or just maybe even light that they're missing, because we're all working inside. We live our lives inside. We work under these fluorescent lights. We're in dirty electricity all day. So it's very rare. And we'll get to kind of the schedule and realistic expectations that people should have. We'll get to that in a minute, but expanding into the area of anxiety and depression, how does UVB, infrared, red work on the brain to produce more serotonin, or is it through that vitamin D pathway?
It's a lot of different pathways. For example, when you read studies of how they develop most of modern antidepressants, the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, basically they're theorizing that's one of the pathways that they work. But now they're finding that the most probable big pathway that they work is through improving the microbiome diversity. So basically, when you have a healthy microbiome, you produce the chemicals that help your brain. And basically, most of neurotransmitters are produced in the gut. So you take an antidepressant and it helps with your microbiome. That helps with all the chemistry in your body and in your brain. So that's one of the pathways of antidepressants they're discovering now. And for example, if you take oral vitamin D, you will help your microbiome. So you're doing the same in a more natural manner. But when you take UVB, the improvements in the microbiome are even greater than just taking the vitamin D alone, because there are around 25 different chemicals that your body produces when your skin gets in contact to UVB. So it's not just vitamin D like we used to believe, but there are a lot of chemicals that are produced into different compounds like POMC. POMC, it's dependent on the UVB, and so it's more complex than when we think. But in summary, when you take the sun, the UVB part will improve your microbiome, and that will help with depression and also vitamin D.
Since the release of Metabolism Fixer, we have been bombarded by stories of people just raving about it and the results that they're getting. So what we're seeing across the board, control of appetite and without the use of expensive GLPs. Because metabolism contains that patented trademark ingredient suppressa, has a boatload of studies behind it, reducing appetite by 69%. We have heard massive reports thanking us. Thank you for Metabolism Fixer, because finally I have control over my appetite once and for all. I'm not binging, I'm not overeating, and that's really half the battle. But beyond that, we have to get the metabolism up. We have to get your metabolism up. How do we do that? Metabolism Fixer contains T2. Now, it also contains purple tea and green tea, which both increase your metabolic furnace. But T2 is really the key, that forgotten thyroid hormone that increases your basal metabolic rate, stimulates brown adipose tissue. That's why you're jumping into cold plunges, people, to stimulate that brown adipose tissue, turn the white, squishy fat brown, make it more metabolically active, protect your muscles. T2 acts like an exercise mimetic. So it's just like you're going to the gym. This is what gives us that better metabolism so that we're burning fat while we're just sitting around doing nothing. So you don't have to starve yourself to lose weight. You don't have to work out 3 hours a day to lose weight. By adding a metabolism fixer, you're going to have better appetite control. You're going to have nice, steady energy through the day. That's another thing that T2 does, bonus. And you're going to have a better overall basal metabolism, the amount of body fat and energy that you are burning at rest. And that is what is going to ignite your metabolic furnace. And that is what is going to get that weight off of you once and for all. So if you need better appetite control and, you just want a better metabolism and you don't want to carry around extra weight, add in Metabolism Fixer, just 1 scoop a day. That's all you need. 1 scoop a day. It will start kicking in very shortly to control your appetite. Studies show about 2-week onset, but we've had people notice that appetite control kick in within a day or two. Add in 1 scoop Metabolism Fixer. You are going to thank me that you saved hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, not using a GLP, but using this yummy, throw it in your water, flavors your water. Oh my God, it tastes like Tang Metabolism Fixer every day. And I mean, there's some phenomenal studies that anyone listening can really go down the rabbit hole on PubMed. Photobiomodulation, which is essentially what this is when you are using light to modulate your biome, your body, your microbiome for major depressive disorders. I mean, targeting brain metabolism, inflammation, oxidative stress, and neurogenesis. There's another one, the psychological benefits, 2 and 4 weeks after a single treatment with near infrared light to the forehead. I mean, that's crazy.
Yes, that's another pathway. For example, when you go and take the sun, one pathway would be the microbiome, the vitamin D, the POM-C, that's also making different compounds. But for example, now there are many equipments on the market that basically target the infrared directly through your head and forehead. It's because when we go outside, part of the infrared goes through our skull and basically is getting to our brain cells. So that's part of a healthy process. And now most people are wearing hats, are spending time indoors. And that could be also correlated with the rise in Alzheimer's and many other diseases. So we need to take infrared as much as we need to take the UV.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now that I'm learning more about it, it's all kind of coming together and making sense. Okay, so we got to jump to hair growth, because hair loss and hair breakage is a big issue in my community, whether it's stemming from thyroid dysfunction or hormone imbalance or lack of protein. I mean, this is a really big, especially for women, when they start losing their hair and they're literally counting the hairs that come out of their head and taking pictures of it and saying, please help me. There's a lot of crap on the market right now. And there's a lot of really expensive head caps that you can put on that literally, I mean, you might as well just string red Christmas lights around your head. Like, that's the extent of help that you're getting from these red light caps. So can you dive into the hair growth aspect whether it's
Yes.
alopecia base or damage to the follicle or hormone or thyroid, how can this help us if we use a good quality device and not a Christmas light device?
Okay, yes, that's very interesting. First of all, when you start losing your hair, it can be caused by different different causes. One of them could be hormonal, for example, in the case of men, and other could be just simply aging.
Yeah.
Another could be also lack of different nutrients. And the way that the red and infrared lights works, it's basically by nourishing your mitochondria. So when you start getting old, all your cells start producing more energy. And if you can make them more vibrant, more energetic through infrared, they could start producing more hair. So for example, in my case, I'm not losing hair here. Very happy for me because I'm 47 and don't
Right.
have any hair loss. But where I've seen the difference is in my beard. I used to have many spots that the hair didn't grow, and
Mhm.
now they're filled. So that's where I've seen it for myself.
Mhm.
And I've been using red light therapy for a year. So that's where I use it. Regarding the different products you could buy, I usually tell people if you can go and get natural sunshine for hair growth, it would be not necessary to go at noon, but to go early in the morning because that's when you get more infrared rich. That
Mhm.
would be a solution. And it's been totally proven that those lights go through your skull. There's also one a very interesting device called the Ceratribe, and that's basically one device that you put it, and it's basically giving you some infrared wavelengths that have great penetration. And regarding to the caps, yes, most of the caps that you could buy, they're not that professional because they're really too low powered. The professional ones are using high-powered lasers. Those are the best ones, but they could
Yeah.
be like $2,500 usually. And the cheap ones that you could almost always find around, they have the right wavelengths. The problem is they don't have the right intensity. So it's actually better to use a panel like this or the bigger ones if you want to trigger your skin or your hairlines, if you want to promote more growth. And always remember, growing your hair is just one of the benefits of using the infrared component of the lamp or of sunshine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So that is a definite answer, whether we're walking outside or using a device indoors, a high quality device indoors that can absolutely help with hair growth. How long does it normally take? I always tell people with hair issues, you really almost have to give it 6 months because of the hair growth
Yes,
cycle and how our hair
yes.
respond. Okay, you agree with that?
Yes, it's basically the skin cycle. It's around 4 weeks. So, for example, if you use it for your skin, you can see results basically within 2 months. And
Mhm.
I usually tell people just to figure out that it's really working, take a picture and then take a picture after 2 months. But usually, even they don't need that because some of the people that I've given the land or some customer, they're telling me that people notice, like, hey, what have you done to your skin? And that's usually happening around 2 months, but for hair, it's a longer. That would be around 6 months, and it will help everybody, but it will help less in men, for example, that it's caused by hormonal causes, because what the light will do is to give more energy to your cells. But if there's a chemical imbalance because you're too susceptible to DHT, then
Mhm.
it won't work as much, and you would need to combine it with DHT blockers.
Yes, yes. I'm happy you said that because we want to set expectations that if you are
Yes.
taking testosterone therapy, and this even goes for women because I have a DHT fixer in my line because I see elevated levels of DHT so much from
Mm-hmm.
testosterone therapy. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of piecing this all together in my mind by using UVA, UVB, red, infrared on your hair. You could also, or on your body, on your face, on your hair, on your body, you
Mm-hmm.
could also increase your natural testosterone to where maybe you wouldn't need as much testosterone replacement therapy or any at all in your case, but you wouldn't need as much.
Yes.
And then that's going to lower DHT because testosterone not aromatized, but it pushes down the 5-alpha reductase
Mm-hmm.
pathway to DHT. And then that hurts the follicle, or in men's
Mm-hmm.
cases, they get the male pattern baldness. Women, they
Yes.
get more thinning. Men get the male pattern baldness. So it
Mm-hmm.
kind of all works in a I'm picturing how this works all together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, the lamp that I developed, the Mitolux lamp, has two different modes. One would be the traditional red infrared mode. That's basically when you put here the H, and it's very high powered, as you can see.
Yep.
And the H mode, you can use it all over your body, and you can use it on your face, you can use it on your scalp, and it doesn't have the UVB. So I really don't recommend people using the UVA or UVB on their face, because the UVA or UVB benefits are systemical. And since you want to avoid skin aging, what I recommend is use the red light anywhere you want the benefits. But if you want to use the UVB part that also combined with the red and infrared, it's better to use it on your chest and on your back, because if you raise your vitamin D, it's systemical. If you raise your testosterone, it's systemical. So don't use the UVA or UVB on your face.
Okay, that was going to be my next question because I wasn't quite sure with that. I was, yeah, ironically, I was putting it lower and kind of shining it on my body, mainly because I'm like, oh, well, I have sunscreen on my face. So it's probably not even going to penetrate. So I might as well put it somewhere else. But to your point, you also, just to avoid that, any kind of cumulative damage from the UVB, just put it somewhere else on your body because you're still going to get the benefits. But the red light you want to put on your face for the collagen and elastin production, right? The healing mode that you have, that you want to shine on your face. Okay.
Yeah, so usually, for example, for the healing mode, what I recommend and what I use myself is to put it this way. It's 10 minutes and you can use it on your hands and on your neck at the same time. So those are the parts that usually you want your skin to get the best anti-aging benefits, and it's big enough to cover those areas, but it's also small enough so you can even travel with it or even put inside a drawer. So that's what I wanted to develop, because panels work great, but they're impractical. So that's why people have trouble finding space in their homes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Totally impractical. That's what I was finding. Okay. We have to go on to the hormone benefits because this is really impressive. I found a study that actually shows, and they're looking at postmenopausal women, hormone levels in postmenopausal women, and how ultraviolet radiation, that's the term that they're using UVR. Yes, they're saying it has an immune regulation, vitamin D production, all of that as they tie back to the levels of sex hormones in postmenopausal women. But it also seems like it's direct and indirect effect. So yes, it's coming, just like we were talking about earlier, coming from a little bit of vitamin D, coming from the immunoregulation, which we didn't even talk about. Inflammation goes down, your immune system improves. But what they're finding when they looked at these 580 postmenopausal women is a overall improvement in their hormone levels. And we luckily did they look at testosterone here? We know that it affects testosterone. Well, they looked at estradiol, they looked at luteinizing hormone, FSH, estrone, and they're seeing an improvement in that. But also the biggest thing is they're basically saying that this is an easy, modifiable lifestyle intervention to enhance postmenopausal quality of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
that's a bonus, right? Yeah, because not all women.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, not all women can get hormones. I mean, I'm a huge advocate. I believe that all women should have access to them, but in this society that we're in conventional sick medicine, there are still many doctors that are blind to the effects of hormones and the benefits of hormones. So I think we do need to give women other ways, other options, and men, because we saw it with your testosterone levels too. We need to give them other modifiable lifestyle factors that they can do, like you said, for free or for a very affordable price without having to go beg their doctor for hormones.
Yes, definitely. So we always need to first find the natural way to improve and try to get as much deeper as we want with the natural way. And then with supplement with medicines when the natural way doesn't do too much, but actually we're doing it the wrong way. First it's medications, and then we believe started finding the natural ways. So yeah, it's amazing how taking the light could help. For example, there's a very interesting study they made in Sweden It lasted 20 years. So they're basically targeting women specifically, and they wanted to find how much cancer women got from getting more sun. So they're basically, it was a study to prove that taking sun was bad for you. And after the 20 years of study, they even found that taking the sun was basically reversing the effects of smoking. So women that smoked and took sunbaths were even healthier and had less cancer risk than women that were not taking the sun and not smoking. So basically, the positive effect of taking the sun is bigger than the bad effect of smoking. So that's how amazing taking the sun could be for health.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. And this is exactly why I wanted to do this podcast with this topic, because we need to unpack all of these things that we're hearing from a variety of different places, but we really need to break it down so that people can understand it. And okay, now we're going to dive specifically into thyroid. And this is, like I said in the beginning, I really tried to debunk red light's effect on the thyroid, but I can't because what I'm finding, okay, so number one, with Hashimoto's specifically, we have that immune regulation. So we're actually calming down the immune system from attacking, since Hashimoto's is an attack on the thyroid. So we have that aspect. Now, this one study blows me away because I always talk about medication and how you would have to pry my thyroid medication out of my dead cold hands. And it really matters. You know, I get the question, can I stop taking my thyroid medication? I always say it really matters on how far along that destruction path you are of your thyroid gland, how long you've been on medication. But I think red light comes in and actually gives us a fighting chance. This study showed that almost 50% of those who participated in the experiment using the red light therapy for hypothyroidism, specifically on the neck itself, that they were able to entirely stop taking medication because the red light effectively regenerated the thyroid follicular cells responsible for releasing normal concentrations of T3 and T4. And it's also working on the mitochondria. So that's obviously improving energy levels, because everyone with a thyroid problem, low energy, weight gain, the whole deal. And then we have the protection against the natural killer cells. So this is bringing in those antibodies that are attacking the thyroid. I mean, it really does help our thyroid work better.
Yes. Wow. Yes. I read some studies that say this. And for example, when you even are using the lamp for beauty, you're giving a red light to your neck and thyroid. So that's penetrating up to 3 centimeters deep. So that's hitting your thyroid, and basically it's giving more ATP and rejuvenating the cells in your thyroid. So as deep as it can go, it will help. And for example, regarding autoimmune diseases, that would be another pathway. As I told you, basically all autoimmune diseases start in the gut, because if you have a weak gut, you don't have good microbiome, you start getting leaky gut. So some of the things that shouldn't go into your bloodstream are getting into your bloodstream, and that's when you start getting all the high autoimmune response. So, for example, in the case with Hashimoto's, if you could improve your microbiome through UVB, that will also be another pathway. And also UVB helps with rheumatoid arthritis. That's another autoimmune, with psoriasis, with vitiligo, and with so many others. So vitamin D and UVB could be some of the most natural ways to help against any autoimmune disease.
You know, it's just amazing how there are so many natural cures out there. And yes, sometimes we do need to have a device to bring it inside, because the realism is that, okay, where I live, it's going to get cold and I'm not going to walk outside in the morning. Well, number one.
In what city do you live?
Des Moines, Iowa. So it's going to snow. It's going to get cold. I'm not down in El Salvador. So I'm going to need something during those winter months where we may only have 8 hours of light per day anyways. And then just the weather restriction. I mean, very similar to why you built Mitolux, is because you were like, hey, you know, we have some cloudy, rainy days down here. And that's not going to work for my sunbathing. But to your point earlier, there's the free version. You go outside, but then there's reality and how many people can, if you're working indoors and you're working a 9 to 5, or I'm not even working 9 to 5, but I just don't have the time. I mean, I might have 5 minutes to jump outside, but then there's the weather aspect and the cold. So I really like the fact that there are affordable devices that are good quality, specifically the Mito Lux. And I want to talk about that specifically, of what you did differently, because there are so many devices on the market. What did you do differently? What was your mission in building this outside of just helping yourself? Why you wanted to put all these different aspects in it and not just have a red light panel?
Okay. Yes. So basically, I wanted to do a lamp that could be in a nice design, because also most red light panels don't look nice. And if it looks nice, it will be easier to keep it on any place in your house. So what I wanted to do is to use the most tested wavelengths of red and near infrared with the most tested part of the UVB. And for example, the UVB that we're using, it's a narrowband 295 nanometers. And that's the most efficient shown in different tests to raise your hormones and to raise your vitamin D. So if you get the most efficient spectrum, you can have better results with less exposure to radiation. So that's why we chose it, because we're just using the special part that has the best results and not all of the different wavelengths. So we chose the 295 nanometer because you can do more with less. And also there are some studies that have shown that some people get burned because they're lacking the infrared part. So they actually tested getting, for example, UV and using different wavelengths of red and near infrared. And basically, when you have the right frequencies of infrared, that basically gets out all of the damaging and oxidative stress that you get with UV. So the problem, for example, when going to the sunbeds and most of the studies against UVB or UVA, it's because they're given in an isolated form. So it's bad if you get the UV or UVA just by themselves, because in nature, for example, even at noon, 5% it's UVA, 0.5% it's UVB, and 60% it's infrared. So I wanted to recreate with my lamp all of the combination of the best wavelengths of red and infrared with the UVB, so it would be more natural. So for example, if I use this lamp without the infrared and you use it for 5 minutes, maybe you would get a little pink. But when you add the red and infrared, that basically heals your cells. So basically you don't get the negative effects. So you can even tolerate more exposure to UVB. So that's one of the first the ways how I developed the wavelength of the UVB and the wavelengths of the infrared. And also this is one of the first machines to use the amber color. And the amber color, I chose to add it because that's the one that's shown to be best with photoaging. And probably the people that are going to be more likely to use this are people that naturally take the sun. So the amber, the 590, it naturally helps with blemishes, with skin effects of the sun, and also has a nitric oxide benefit. So it's basically one amber, one red, and 2 frequencies of near infrared. So it's actually 5 frequencies in the machine.
So it's actually helping like that sun, those brown spots that we get from sun damage from when, I am totally guilty. I used to lay out in the sun with no sunscreen or like an SPF of 2, and I went to the tanning bed. So if you lived in the 80s and 90s, people, you probably did the same. And then you start to see those little dark little, we'll call them age spots popping up. So the amber light will help with that.
Yes, the amber light will help with that.
That's
so
awesome.
For example, if I was to design right now the perfect suntan bed, it would include the UVB. It would include also the amber and the near infrared. And that way it will be a much healthier tan without all of the skin color issues that just the tanning beds gave you.
Yeah. Now, can the amber and the red penetrate sunscreen? So if you were using let's say like right now, obviously I have my sunscreen on, I have my makeup on, sitting at my desk. If I put on the healing mode, is that
Yes.
going to penetrate my sunscreen and my makeup, or should it be done on with a clearer face if you can?
Always better with a clear face, but it will penetrate most of the sunscreen because now there are some other sunscreens that even block near infrared.
Mm.
So maybe 99% don't have that part, but there are some sunscreen that even protect of the infrared because some people are lacking so much the sun that they're even sensible to the healthy near infrared. But most of the time you can use it with makeup and it will penetrate.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. Because again, it's back to the realism. Like, when are you going to use your light? Are you going to use it at your desk where you might have makeup on? So we need to cover all of this in case people do want to get a Mitolux of their own and use it at their desk so that they know, okay, they're still getting the benefits, even though maybe they're ready for work and ready for the day and all the Zoom meetings that they have to go on.
Yes.
So we know.
Yes, and you know something that it's amazing. Even in my country, I'm working with an endocrinologist doctor, and he's telling me that even in my country, he finds that 50% of people are deficient because even if we have great sun, what happens is that it's so hot outside most of the time that people avoid taking the sun. And that also happens, for example, in the Middle East. Dubai and Qatar have vitamin D deficiency rates of around 84 to 85%. And it's because even when they have the sun, it's too hot and they don't go outside.
Well, I hear you. Ironically, yesterday and today are 100 here. So I'm not going out. There's no way I'm going out tonight. It's
so
just
you're hotter than here.
I know. How about that? We're having a heat wave. So yes, to your point, I would use it when it's too hot outside. I would use it when it's too cold outside. And the realism of people's lives is you can't control the weather. And you're either, yes, maybe you're in a really nice sunny spot like Arizona, Florida, Texas, El Salvador, but it's just too damn hot to go out most of the time.
Yes, and even when you go out, it's not practical walking without your shirt or in bikini. So you're not getting enough exposure. And with this, you can use it anywhere in the body. For example, some of our male users use them on their genitals because some people believe that when you get the UVB and the infrared to your genitals, you get even better results than when you do them, for example, in the chest. So it's not practical taking nude sunbaths, but you can use this instead.
You know, and one last thought that I want to go over too, I'm tying this together with a conversation I had with Danny Hamilton regarding circadian rhythm. And one thing that she said is when you wake up in the morning, the last thing you want to do is grab your phone. You know, you're in still maybe a dark room, the light hasn't started coming up yet, and you grab your phone and you hit your eyes with that blue light, and that's totally throwing off your metabolism, your circadian rhythm. It's going to affect your hormones, your sleep, all that. Would it be practical to have the Mitolux by my bed, and as soon as I wake up, I turn it on? And what setting would I use to get that natural sunlight into my eyes, and then go on with my day after I wake up? Then I can pick up my phone and look at that.
Yes. Well, basically, this lamp, as this model is right now, would give you the light of early morning.
Yeah.
But what actually triggers your circadian rhythm is when you start getting some UVA in your eyes and also some blue light. So for circadian rhythm specifically, my recommendation would be to go outside and walk without your glasses, because the problem is that glasses today are blocking the UVA component, and it's the UVA that basically triggers your circadian rhythm to wake up. And it has been shown in many studies that when you get UVA in your eyes, you have less problems with developing myopia. So it's all tied together. So my recommendation would be, whenever possible for circadian rhythm, go outside and take natural light. But I'm also developing another line of the lamp in the future that will have white and UVA for the eyes.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. I love it. And we're going to link back to the podcast I did with Danny Hamilton, because when you reset your circadian rhythm, you're resetting your metabolism. You have better glucose control. We didn't even talk about weight and metabolism as it relates to the light too, but there you go. There's the tie-in to weight gain and metabolism.
Yes, yes. Regarding metabolism, usually all of the magic, as I told you, it's not on the visible side, but on one end on the infrared and the other on the UV. For example, there are some studies, and I've tested them myself because right here I'm wearing one glucose continuous monitor.
Yeah.
And basically, one of the things that red light does to you is that it helps with insulin sensitivity. So basically, you have a lower spikes of glucose after you eat. And that's one way that it helps controlling your weight. And regarding the UVB side, there are some many studies that it shows that it helps with diabetes, it helps with metabolic syndrome, and also it even helps with preventing weight gain because it's been proven that it increases the amount of brown fat cells that you have, and those are the ones producing heat and consuming more calories. So it's also great to have metabolic effects on using sunshine or using the lamp. And what I tell people is try to find a surfer that is obese.
Oh, good call. Yeah.
When you go to the people in basically near the equator or to sunny places, you see a lot of less obesity. And that's because of UVB, because they have better circadian rhythm, because they're having more infrared. So the more exposed you are, also your eyes, not just your body, but the more you are exposed you are to the infrared and to the UVs, the better metabolism and the healthier weight you will have.
Bam. Well, there's the mic drop moment right there. It's all coming together now.
Trying to find a fat surfer. Usually they're really skinny because they're waking up early, seeing the sunshine with their bare eyes. So they're syncing with the circadian rhythm. They're getting the infrared early in the morning and they're getting the UV later at night. And so usually the surfers don't party that much at night because they're falling asleep earlier. Because when you get sun in your eyes early in the morning, at night you will be very, very sleepy.
Yeah, you got to get those good waves early in the morning.
Yes,
oh my gosh,
totally.
Guti, this has been awesome. This is exactly what I wanted. I really wanted to dive into the different aspects of we can call it photobiomodulation, the benefits of light. And yes, you can absolutely do it the free way, like you said, by timing it and walking outside, or you can get a very affordable device like the MitoLux that you make. We're going to put that link in the show notes, which you also gave my audience a discount code for. So thank you. I tend to go that way of using devices just again, because of practicality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is designed to be very practical. Also, we have launched just recently floor stand. So basically you could either buy it and includes the regular stand, but if you want to use it on your sofa, on your bed, or even in a clinic, you could have that because you can adjust the height and you can adjust the angle. And we'll have soon also a travel case because there are some people that are giving a lot of lectures or traveling a lot and they want to get some more sunlight. So they're traveling with the MitoLux. So it's just 2.5 pounds. So it's very light.
It is very light. It's amazing. No, I think I will travel with it because then when you're in conferences and hotel rooms, I mean, all the natural light is just gone. You're so deficient in that. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah, and I also want to cover one more detail. As I told you, the UVB component of sunlight at the highest peak and in the equator, it's just 0.5%. So that's why this unit you could have for example, in the 5-minute mode, that would be the equivalent of being around 30 minutes of equator sun because it's basically using the most efficient wavelength. And the sun has very little UV. So you only need 5 minutes to get all of the benefits of UVB on your torso. If you want double the effects, you can use it on your back. And you can also use it as a red light therapy for anti-aging.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your knowledge and unpacking all of this. It's just something I really wanted an expert to come on and talk about instead of me just going through all the studies. So love it, Guti. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it today.
Thank you very much.